Do you want to retire poor? The choice is yours. I know it sounds harsh, but it's reality. If you don't have a plan, there's a good chance you're going to join the increasing number of New Zealanders over 65 who find themselves essentially broke. And the stupid thing is that it's not necessary, right? It doesn't have to be like that. I mean, you can change it. It's as simple as setting goals, setting long-term goals. If you haven't written down where you want to be in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 25 years, then you are leaving your future up to somebody else. And you only live one life, and it goes very, very quickly. I know for certain I would much rather have money when I'm older than not. It's just a much better way to live. You've just got way more freedom, less things to be worried about. You're not constantly working and struggling, and you can change it. Okay, goal setting something you can just do, right? You sit down with your partner, or you go for a walk or whatever, and just talk about stuff, and just start writing stuff down. Just start laying out what you would actually like. You know, what do we want in 5 years' time? What do we want in 10 years' time? Where do we want to live? What are the kind of things we want to be doing? And then you work back from there. It's a case of reverse engineering. So you set the goal, you set the time frame, get as specific as you can, and then start working back and start putting in, we've got to do these things at these times. And I think what people underestimate is the power of saving and investing. You know, if you look at most people who've achieved financially, they started somewhere, and often they started by saving. You can't invest if you haven't saved any money. So you've got to start saving, and then you've got to start investing regularly. I mean, I saw it really, really clearly when we opened accounts, brokerage accounts for the kids. I mean, you can just go along to Craig's. You can do it online. You know, I'm sure all the brokers do it, but we opened a MyStart account for the kids and put money in every month, right? Just a direct debit, and turn around and it's 20 years later and there's actually a substantial university fund. And that's something that really just about anyone could have done. You know, we didn't put a lot in that account each month, but it really adds up over time. And it doesn't matter what you do it in, whether it's shares or property, or whether you buy gold or any kind of asset. Our economic system is set up to ensure inflation, and that is not going to change. And the reason I know that's not going to change is because, as Milton Friedman said, the famous economist, what did he say? He said, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. Okay, and what that means is inflation is brought about by more money. Governments keep on creating more money. Why do they do that? Well, to fund their ridiculous policies, of course. Right? That's all it is. If someone said to you, hey, we're going to put in cycle lanes and raised speed bumps for every 5 meters along the streets in Cambridge, and you're going to have to pay $500 a year more rates forever, how many people would vote for that? Zero. Nobody would vote for that, right? Because it's a bloody stupid policy. It makes no sense. I'm all for cycling. I love cycling. I love going out on my mountain bike and going with friends and going on trails, and it's cool fun, right? But they've got the cart before the horse again. You know, it's like when, I don't even want to say that person's name, but in a previous government, when they brought in all these anti-landlord policies, right? They decided that private people investing in the housing market and providing long-term rental accommodation is a bad thing. Okay, that's terrible. We can't have that. We would rather have families and children growing up in motels and people living in cars than a landlord owning a house and renting it out, because they didn't want that, okay? Driven by ideology. They hadn't built any of the social housing, so So they put landlords off with all this raft of rules, but people still need to rent somewhere. So where did they have to go? Into motels. And now we've got these massive long social housing waiting lists, all driven by policy, by idiotic policies by government. Now, this is all going to continue. It's never going to change. The people who get into politics these days are complete and utter nutters, right? I mean, you only have to look at the US. You've got a choice of Harris and Trump, they're just two nutters. They're not people you'd want to sit down and have dinner with. I mean, they're mad. And this is politics in the free world, in our democracy. So don't expect them to do anything that's common sense or practical or logical or good for you long term. Governments, councils, big companies, these are all the enemy of the people, right? They are all against us. They don't want us to have freedom, to have choices, to have money, to have, to have the ability to say, bugger you and your stupid policies, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, or I'm going to leave the country. But that's getting harder because every country's got the stupid rules now. So, they're just taking away our freedoms day by day by day. What can you do about it? You've got to create your own sovereignty, right? You've got to create freedom for yourself. And to do that, you need a certain amount of money. Ideally, you get more than one passport. You buy property in different countries. You have assets in different countries. I mean, look, I don't have any direct billionaire friends at this stage, but I do have friends who have friends of billionaires. And what they're telling me that these guys are doing, because the world is so incredibly unpredictable today, in order to protect their wealth, they are spreading their assets across multiple countries. Okay, so like some of these guys, if you've got $1 billion, that's a lot of money you've got to take care of, right? You've got to manage and you've got to secure. Some of these guys have got money across 50 countries. So they've got money in different currencies and different assets and different businesses because they don't know what's coming next. They don't know which country is going to have some crazy dictator come to power like we did in New Zealand, right? Which massively degrades our standard of living in such a short time. But just think, since 2019, 2020 to today, how much poorer the country is, how much worse our healthcare, education, just the general standard of living. We have slid so far, and it's not getting better yet. And what happens the next time Labour and Greens get in? It's just going to get worse, right? They're going to bring in more of these policies that hurt the people that create people who create businesses, people who build houses, people who own property, people who go to work, to provide the services that are needed to keep the country running. These are the people that the likes of Labour and Greens are against. They don't like people who actually make an effort, who strive, who want to get ahead, who really want to perform, who want to create a better life for themselves and their families. Okay, there's a whole nother side, potentially half of this country who absolutely hate what I'm saying right now. Okay, they don't want you to be individual, to have freedom, to have some form of democracy, because we don't live in a democracy in New Zealand anymore. I mean, that's gone. So many of the things I look around and go, I didn't vote for this. I don't want this. This is not the New Zealand that I want. I mean, I grew up here on Wangapā Beach. I went to a little school. There were 50 kids in my school from 5 to 12 years old. There were 2 classrooms, a tiny little place, and the families used to get together. Dad cut a farm out of the bush, and when he'd pick up hay, Dad had a baler, and then one of the other neighbours would come and they'd have a truck, and another one would have a tedder, and then all the mums would bring food. And I remember as a kid, haymaking time was like Christmas. It was awesome. All the kids would come over and everyone would play together, and you'd have this massive feed, and the dads would go and do all the pick up the hay, and it was a real community. The town hall in Wangapā, well, the town hall was like a little building. It's somebody's batch today. But, you know, every few weeks there would be a party down at the hall, and the whole community would come, all age groups. And it was really neat. It was a real, I don't know, it was just it just seemed freer, you know, than we are now. We've lost a lot of our freedoms. But look, coming back to it, you need to take control of your future. You need to be responsible for your life, okay? It's as simple as that. I know it's not the message that you get today. You know, you've got so many people telling you what to do, and the government knows best and all the rest of it. But in reality, you know, you've got to decide what you want and then start working towards that. There are so many places you can go for help and for guidance today. You know, there's so much free online. You can, I mean, I work with people all over the world. You know, I've got people that I regularly check in with, you know, in the States, you know, in Australia, you know, all over the place, because I don't need to just deal with people in Cambridge or just in New Zealand. I've got the whole world, and it doesn't even have to be expensive. So it really comes down to you, all right? Just please set some goals. Get clear on what you'd like, on how you want to live and the things that you want, and then start working towards it. And then once you've got the goals, then you'll start seeking people out. And what I've found in my life is that once I set goals, then things also start happening for me, you know, and the phone will ring, or someone will send me an email, or I'll see something, or I'll find out about something. Once you set those goals, then, you know, things also start working for you. And then other people, you can share those goals with people, and then other people can help you as well. Until you know what you want, other people can't help you. And I think one of the biggest things with setting goals is once you've got those goals down, you'll subconsciously start making decisions towards them. We make so many decisions every day, you know, whether we get up on time, or whether we go to the gym, or, you know, if we're going to eat the chocolate, or we're going to have an apple, you know, just all these different things. And that might be weight goals or fitness goals, but the same goes with, you know, if you set financial goals, you'll start making all these little decisions that will move you in the direction of those goals. And it all adds up day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. And it just builds and builds and builds. Cool. Thanks for listening. Hope you're well.